I'm 19 years old, and in 2024, I did $400,000 in sales reselling clothes on eBay. So today we're going to do a complete funnel breakdown, exactly how I did everything. So let's get straight into the video. So basically, it all started when in 2022 when I was 17 years old. And what happened was I came back from Uganda. I needed to make money. I couldn't pay for my gas. I couldn't pay for my insurance, and I was dead broke. My friend was reselling clothes already, and my mom saw him at the Goodwill bins. My mom told me to link up with my friend and ask him to teach me, and that's exactly what I did. So I started going to the Goodwill bins every single day, and I learned how to resell. So in 2022, my friend taught me how to resell. I was inside of his warehouse reselling with him. I was doing all the work. I was doing everything that I needed to do. As you can see, this is a picture of me here in 2022 at his warehouse. We're just reselling. And that was the beginning of 2023. So I started in 2022, like October, in the beginning of 2023. Um, You see, that's the picture of me here. And in 2023, I did $168,000 in sales. I sold 7,294 items. That's about like $80,000 net, and so on and so on, counting for bills and everything. But I started in the end of 2022. I really started taking things serious in the beginning of 2023. And in 2023, I did $168,000 in sales. And in the beginning of 2024, I moved into the warehouse, the infamous warehouse you see me in here right now. And that was honestly just hard work, dedication, the grind. And in 2024, I did $465,000 in sales. I sold 21,502 items on eBay. And we're going to do a complete breakdown of how I did that. Just wanted to give you guys a complete story, background of me, myself as an individual. My name is Jobson Nagala. I'm 19 years old, and I resell on eBay. But here's a complete breakdown of how I literally do everything. So it all stems first from sourcing. Sourcing is the most important thing because sourcing is the fuel for the vehicle. So everything around me, you see the organization system is the vehicle essentially. And sourcing is the fuel for the vehicle. Now, from sourcing, you have to understand sell-through rate is the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to sourcing, because sell-through rate is understanding if I pick up this item, how long is it going to be on these shelves for? And depending how long it's going to be on these shelves for, it's going to go through a markdown and it's going to sell for a certain price. And is that price going to be more than what I paid for it? So the first thing that goes into my mind when it comes to sourcing is the sell-through rate. Everything that I'm picking up, I want to know the sell-through rate. I want to know what price I need to put it on, put it for, so that I'll sell within 30, 60, 90 days. Um, Second thing after that is brands. Brands oftentimes you could just tell from a brand if it's going to have a good sell-through rate, but sell-through rate is the most important thing first because um, certain things can be certain sizes, certain styles, certain colors, and that can increase the sell-through rate. And certain things can be bigger sizes, different styles, and that can decrease the sell-through rate. So sell-through rate is the most important thing. But the second thing is brands, because brands, items that have a good brand, if they're a good decent size, oftentimes you can get good decent money for them. So just knowing the brands and knowing what brands have good sell-through rates took me a far and long way and actually helped me make a lot of money simply by learning brands. And there's a ton of more brands that I need to learn, but that is something that I did to essentially figure out what items were a good sell-through rate and what items would actually sell. Then the third thing is quality. The quality of items is very important. I have a mountain of clothes behind me that were just bad quality that I just won't put up in my store because I know I'm not going to get a good price for it. And when it comes down to that, I should have taken more time to make sure that I'm picking up quality items. I'm not picking up trash items, because what happens is it's just a waste of money and I have to figure out how to disperse those items and still be able to write it off as a tax advantage. So quality was the third most important thing that came into my mental mindset when it came to reselling. And there's a lot of things that came into that factored in to me being able to sell, 20,000 items and make X amount of money. But these are just the pen and paper things that were important for me to just make money when it came to clothing. Now, quantity was another important thing. It's important to understand that to make a certain amount of money, you need a certain amount of quantity. Now, you could either sell less quantity and sell items for much more, or you could sell more items and sell items for much less. And I think it really just comes down to where you can get your items from and how much you can get your items for, honestly. That is the big thing. So when it came to quantity, I just wanted to get as much as I can and invest as much as I can into my business because I had the capital to do so. But honestly, I suggest taking more, if you're a beginner or if you're an intermediate, to take a more calculated approach because I oftentimes bought inventory I didn't need, bought inventory that sat for a long time. Um, and an important thing when it comes to buying items in large quantity is understanding the shelf life. How long is that item going to be on my shelf, right? So if I can't buy an item 10 times, oftentimes I won't buy it once, right? And that sometimes just comes down to the price and it comes down to how much you can flip that item for. But a very important thing to always counter and factor in is the sell-through rate because the sell-through rate is going to determine how long you have an item for. Now, the one, two, three, four. The fifth thing is the pricing. Pricing is very important because I can put an item up for $20 and then do a markdown sale and markdown sale. It gets marked down 50% and then it sells for $10. And that may take 120 days. Compared to if I just put it up for $10 in the first place, it will sell within 30 days and I can get my money a lot faster. So knowing how much an item goes for and knowing the proper price is actually very important when it comes to pricing on eBay. Because if you price an item too high and it sits for too long, you're basically losing money because money hates time, honestly. And then the one, two, three, four, five, sixth thing is active listings. Active listings is active engagement on the eBay app, the eBay software, the eBay algorithm. The more active you are on the eBay algorithm, the more traffic they're going to give you. And a big thing that I see a lot of resellers running into is chasing vanity metrics. And the vanity metric they seem to chase the most is traffic. And I honestly have no idea why. Traffic is important, but it's not something to, go crazy about. It's not something to where, oh, my traffic is down, I need to do the no. As long as you're listing every single day, you're active on the app and you're doing the things that you need to do, you are going to have good traffic. Last thing is payouts. Payouts is, you know what payouts are. That's when you're getting the money, right? And this is just a complete circle of everything. So, boom, sell-through rate is the most and only important factor when it comes to sourcing items. Brands always are the deciding factor of good sell-through rates, not styles. Now, some styles and some items you can get away with, but if you're just a beginner or an intermediate, when it comes to the majority of the items you're going to sell, it's going to be because of the brands. And then third, quality is very important when considering purchasing and attempting to resell. Quantity is a huge factor. If you want to buy an item 10 times, you probably shouldn't buy it once. Pricing is the most important underlying factor. You should always know how much you're going to price an item at before you buy it. Active listings boost engagements. You should always have money to play with, focus on listing and continual listing over any other underlying factor. Payouts. Assess your funds and allocate them properly. These are the 7 key things. If you want to take a second to take a screenshot of that right there, these 7 things honestly made me practically all my money, if I'm being completely honest. But there's a complete breakdown of the marketing scheme of it. And then I'm going to give you a breakdown of my mental frame set. So, boom, the first thing is markdown sales. So, I would run a 30, 50, a 30, 60, 90, so on and so on markdown sale. So from 30 to 59 days on markdown 10%, 60 to 89 days, 20%, 90 to 119 days, 30, and so on and so on. You see it right here if you want to take a screenshot. And I'll do this every single week because what I wanted to happen is I wanted to control the quality of items I have in my shelf. I wanted to control my quality shelf life. And by running a consistent markdown sale and consistently getting items that have been sitting to get marked down and to get off my shelves, I was just making more money. I'll be careful with this markdown sale to always be taking a look at your ASP, because ASP is actually very important. I've made mistakes of dropping my ASP way too low for absolutely no reason. So make sure you know what you want your ASP to be and always keep that into factor. So boom, you see I would run a 30, 60, 90. And then the first thing that's important is the SEO listing. So your item's not going to sell if it doesn't get in front of the right person. Your item has a perfect buyer. There's a perfect buyer for every single item. To get that item in front of the perfect buyer, you need to understand SEO listing. And I go over a lot of that stuff in my other videos. Check them out, or in my free school community. Check it out. I just go over how I list and how I do pricing and how I do a lot of things. So check out my free community if you're into that. But SEO listing is very important. Getting the right item in front of the right buyer so that the item can be bought is probably the most important thing. The 1B, technically the second thing, is pricing. You need to get the item in front of the right buyer, and you need to get it in front of the right buyer for the right price. If it's in front of the right buyer but not for the right price, it won't be bought by the buyer until it is the right price. And oftentimes what happens in people's eBay stores is they're not marking items down. They'll put an item up for $20 and it'll be there for a year, and maybe after a year it'll sell and they think, okay, boom, I just made a good sell. Incorrect. You priced the item too high and it took too long to sell. And if you did that with every single item, no item would sell. It's very important that you have a good individual sell through rate on your store, because that will tell you that you're pricing items correctly. The second thing is markdown sales. Markdown sales are huge. You need to be running these markdown sales because you need to understand if you're pricing items correctly. Your markdown sales should be in direct correlation to your ASP and in direct correlation to your shelf life. If you're not running any markdown sales, then you're doing something wrong. I've never ran any coupons. I've never ran anything else besides just markdown sales. So markdown sales are huge because you may have an item up for $20. You run a 20% off markdown sale. Now it's up for 18. If it doesn't sell within that period and then it gets to 30% off and so on and so on, it may sell at the 40%. And that will tell you maybe that item doesn't go for $20. And that will allow you to adjust your pricing and allow you to sell much more items much faster. So markdown sales are huge. Boom. Promoted listings is 2B. I only do promoted listings at 2%. I don't believe promoted listings are huge, but on every listing I've ever done on the eBay platform, I've only done 2%. 2C, service metrics and top rated. So having the crest service metrics, so not being very high, item not as described, all of those things, you need to make sure that you're not very high, item not as described. You need to make sure you have good customer service. You need to make sure you're a good top rated seller, because what's that going to do is it's going to allow eBay to keep on giving you traffic. eBay is going to trust you, because here's the thing. eBay is B2B and us as individuals are B2C, right? So when we are B2B, B2B sellers are top rated sellers, right? They're sellers who have warehouses like this, who are constantly moving inventory. I'm a eBay to eBay, I am B2B. Now, people who don't have warehouses like this, who just sell on the side, whatever, are B2C, right? So B2C individuals aren't going to get as much traffic as me, a B2B individual, because I have trust. eBay trusts me. eBay knows I'm going to ship items out. I'm going to take care of customer service. I'm a top rated. I have good service metrics. So they're going to increase my traffic. Now, if you're B2C, eBay may not give you as much traffic because you're not doing the things that you need to do to be top rated. You don't have good service metrics. You're not doing this, you're not doing that. And eBay just can't trust you. Why would they trust you to be B2C? Because if you give a customer a bad experience, it's not on you, your store, it's on eBay. When someone has a bad experience on eBay, they're not going to say, hey, I had a bad experience from Modix Gloves. They're going to say, I had a bad experience on eBay. I'm not going to use eBay. And now eBay has lost a customer. So it's very important to have good service metrics and to be top rated. Third thing are offers. You need to constantly be sending offers of 15% every single day, every single second. Constantly be sending those offers out. Constantly have engagement on your eBay software, on your eBay app. It is very important to do that, because if you're getting items for the correct pricing, you should be able to send offers. If I buy an item for $3 and I put it up for $25, I'm going to be sending offers of 25%. That's the offer. That's offering the buyer to buy it for $21, $20. I want to do that. That way I can get my money. I can get things moving. Oftentimes people will put an item up for $25 and get offered $15 to $20, and they're saying I'm getting lowballed. You're not getting lowballed. You got the item for $3, $4, $5. Get rid of that item and reinvest it into more inventory. Fourth thing is customer service, always answering questions, always being the best customer service individual that you can be. This is going to increase the amount of money you make, increase the amount of transactions you have, and it's going to increase the amount of people that come back and buy from you time and time again. Boom. The fifth thing is active listings. Having an active listing goal and hitting that every single day is very important. Now, what oftentimes people do is they set a high goal. So, for example, someone will be like, in my situation, if I was like, man, I want to list 100 every single day, but I couldn't get 100 quality items every single day, now I may be picking up lower quality items, or I may list 100 on Monday, 0 on Tuesday, 100 on Wednesday, 0 on Thursday, and then 100 on Friday, which is now just 300 listings. I could have just listed 60 items over the course of 5 days and actually had an active listing schedule, listed every day, had some good balance in my life. That is far better than trying to have a huge goal and not hitting it every single day. So find a goal that you can consistently hit every single day and simply hit it. And that will allow you to make more money and have a better business. Right. So this is a little side note. Send offers of 15%. Accept offers within $5 to $10. Make sure you're getting items for cheap. So this is all the things I did. So when I'm saying you, I'm really saying me. These are all the things I did to, do $400,000 in sales and, essentially make money. And this is a complete breakdown of all the things I did. And this is very quick because if you understand me as an individual, you'll understand all of the stuff I just talked about is available on my YouTube. So go and check it out, honestly. Even faster, if you go to my free school community, you can get direct access to all the videos, all the documents, all the links easily, and it's completely free. So go and check that out to make your life a lot easier. But now, the last thing that helped me make a bunch of money is simply mindset. And here is the truth. It was the easiest thing I've ever done. And that is honestly the truth. Once I started, it was just easy to keep going. And anytime it was hard, I now understand that was all in my head. Making money, making progress, doing the things that you want to do, doing the things that you enjoy is simple and easy. You just need to create the systems and the processes, and you need to make sure the system and processes are super easy. For me, I could be on 1 hour of sleep, stumble into my warehouse barely, and I can do everything without a simple issue. The thing is you have to believe in it and you have to be it before you see it. I'm a huge believer in manifestation. I'm a huge believer in understanding that I'm Christian also. So understanding you need to give thanks to God before you even receive it, right? So the big thing is, say you have a certain number, you have to understand you've already hit the number. You need to be grateful to God that you already hit that number, and you need to act as if you already hit that number, right? A lot of people just have that number. They do their affirmations and they do this and that and they chase it. But the thing is, for me to make $400,000 in sales and sell X amount of items, I didn't chase anything. I attracted it to me. And the truth is, anything that you believe is hard going on in your life is actually just inside of your mind. Like I said, I'm Christian. This is going to be a far stretch from this video, but understanding that God is infinite and us as humans, we are actually creators, right? And what we are as creators is meaning that our minds, they can't separate visualizing something and actually seeing something. So if you can see it and believe it, you can achieve it. I'm Christian. I'm going to continue saying this, but it says in the Bible that everything that you see in this world, the Lord Himself has manifest. Meaning everything you want to accomplish, everything that you want to achieve, the Lord has seen it through your eyes already, meaning that it is you're able to accomplish it. Anything you're able to see, you're able to accomplish. Before the iPhone was created, it was seen and it was manifested and then it was created. Nothing can be created out of thin air. The truth is that your desired goals are found in your own footsteps. They're not found, right? I mean, they're not, wait, scratch that. The truth is found in your own footsteps, right? Meaning that you need to walk the path of your life to get to your desired reality, to get to your truth, to get to your goals. You're not just going to wake up and your goals are going to be there. So, the easiest way to get there is to remove all the friction, to remove believing it's going to be hard, remove the fact that you think that you can't accomplish it, remove any fears, any doubts, any insecurities. Simply remove it and simply understand that you can achieve it. And once you remove all of those things, you will achieve it a lot faster, because when you can switch to a state to where you do not need to see the physical material of what you want, and you can just be in the emotional state of already having it, then you'll achieve it. So for me to sell and have this warehouse, I literally understood that I didn't desire. So say for money, for instance, I want to be a multimillionaire. That money would mean nothing to me if it didn't give me a certain emotional state. If randomly $1 million hit my bank account, but I couldn't spend it, I wouldn't be happy. I'd actually even be more upset, right? What I really desire is the emotional state of being a millionaire. So understanding that, um, before I was in the position I am in now, I switched to the emotional state of being in this certain position, if that makes sense. I was already grateful. I already had appreciation. I expressed gratitude to the Lord. So when I got to this specific instance, this was already normal for me. It was not anything out of the ordinary. And that's honestly the biggest thing that I believe helped me was normalizing my goals and my desires. Because once it is normal to me, once it was normal to me, it was a lot easier to achieve it and it was a lot easier to live in it. But what oftentimes happened to me and I see happen to other people are they put certain things above them. And you'll never be able to reach anything above you because you'll need a ladder, you'll need a stepping stool, you need this, that, and that, this, that, and the third to reach it. But the truth is, the more you climb, the higher it gets. You need to put things in front of you or below you because you can always see and reach things in front of you or below you. Whenever you put things up above you, you'll never be able to reach it. So don't pedestalize or don't put anything on a pedestal that you want to accomplish. Put it in front of you or below you and you'll accomplish it. And those are the things that I did to personally make or sell $400,000 worth of clothing and sell 20,000 items on eBay. Those are honestly the things I did. And the last part I'm sharing is the mental mindset that I had to do it. So take all of this information how you will, and peace out, Modexclus Nation.